job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win! And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Logan drills it. Do you believe this? That's going to be gone! Back to back! Walk-off home runs! How about this? He's back! He's back! He's back!
And a swing and a drive! Deep left field! This one belongs to the Reds! Swung on and hit deep to left field! That ball is going to be gone! Home run! And the Reds put it 5-4!
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play! And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone! Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off. Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on, fly ball, hit to deep right field. That ball is gonna be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball, by the third baseman into left field. Dave Bruce rounds third. This one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
One out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Dave Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he's gone. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Welcome in, Reds fans. Today is September 26th, 2025. This is your Chatterbox Reds pregame show. I'm Mike Hart, and with me for the last time this year as this season comes to an end, my man, Ricky Logan. How are you doing today?
You're making me tear up a little bit, man. Let's make it a positive one though. Let's go out there and get a win, and hopefully a Mets loss, so we can sneak our way in. Doing pretty good though. Happy Friday.
That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, I saw in the chat we got good vibes only. Yeah, that's what this is going to be. You know, we can only control what we can control. All we can do is go and play our best game in Milwaukee. Obviously, we're going to have eyes on that Marlins Mets series, but man, what we got to do is we got to go out and play our best baseball right now, where there's no time left. There's no time left to think, well, you know, maybe next time, or maybe we can turn it around. This is it. 3 games left. We basically need to win, 2 or 3 at the minimum, but we basically need to win all 3 here if we're going to, expect to try to make some noise here in making the playoffs. And this is going to be a tall task. We have the Milwaukee Brewers coming in, or we're going to Milwaukee for it. And they've obviously given us lots of trouble. We'll talk a little bit about that, but yeah, we're going to need all of the good juju tonight because and that starts with you all. That starts with a like. If you have buried this team multiple times, but you're still here, give us a like. If you were at the game cheering and didn't know what to do when Noelvi Marte brought that ball back, drop us a like. if you think the season's over, but maybe there's still a chance because you never know, it's baseball, drop us a like. I think the best we can do, we can't be in Milwaukee cheering for them, but what we can do is we can like the stream. And what that's going to do is that has already been mathematically proven that if we get enough of those, it helps the team win games. So if you could help us do that, it actually, in all seriousness, helps us get in front of more people. Like and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, we're going to have a post-game show. We've had a post-game show for every game this year, but yeah, it's I'm starting it right off the bat. I'm going to be begging for likes a few more times just because, man, we're going to need it. We need all the help we can get. So let's go in there and win a ball game. What do you think about that, Ricky?
I am 100% down for it.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the playoff picture. I have a little graphic here for us to kind of break everything down. Obviously, there's 3 games left, right? And the 3 teams that are still kind of vying for this last playoff push. Maybe you have given up on the Reds, but you're back and figuring out, hey, what's going on? Hopefully this will help you out. The 3 teams that we're looking at right now are the Reds, obviously, the New York Mets, and the Diamondbacks. And currently, as it sits, the Mets are 1 game up on the Reds, and the Reds are 1 game up on the Diamondbacks. So this kind of lays out all the different scenarios. I think Nick Kirby laid this out as well on X, but here's a good graphic, I think, for something like that. So on the left, we see the 4 possibilities for these 3 games that we have here. We can either go 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, and 0-3. So obviously, we got to win one of the games. Otherwise, we are completely eliminated, right? If we don't win a game, there's no way for us to make up any ground on the Mets. And frankly, we don't deserve to go to the playoffs. Now, if we go 1-2, which would hurt, we would basically need the Mets to get swept by the Marlins, and we would need the Diamondbacks to either they could not sweep the Padres, I believe is who they're playing. Now, if we go 2-1, so we win 2 of the 3 games, then the Mets will need to go 1-2. So they basically can only win 1 more game going forward, and the D-backs would be eliminated. And if the Reds win out, then the Mets can need to at least lose 1 game, because then if they go 2-1 and we were 3-0, we'd be tied for the lead. And as we've discussed in many of these different playoff scenarios, we hold the tiebreaker over the Mets. So if we can just get tied with them, so that's what you said. If we win today, the Mets lose, we're back tied with them. Boom, we are in a playoff spot, and all of a sudden we control our own destiny. So, Ricky, what are your thoughts on this in this uphill challenge that it seems like the Reds have for these last 3 games of the year?
Yeah, this is going to be the toughest series of the season. And it's the most important series of the season. A little history between the Reds and the Brewers. Since 2017, the Reds are 53-88. That is a 376 winning percentage. They've lost 22 consecutive series versus the Brewers. It's an uphill challenge, but if you feel like this team belongs in the playoffs, they have to beat teams like this. They've got to get that monkey off their back and win this series. At minimum, you got to go 2-1. You can't go any worse than that, and you've got to get that monkey off your back. And if you can beat the Brewers, you can take 2 out of 3, potentially sweep. Who knows what could happen in the playoffs? Because the Brewers are the best team in baseball right now, and if you can get hot now, and we've seen it with Ellie. Ellie's getting hot right now. It just takes a couple other guys getting hot, some good pitching, which we've had. Anything's possible. And I like our chances.
Yeah, and obviously we're still not mathematically eliminated if we go 1-2, but to expect the Marlins to sweep the Mets is basically. That's in my mind, it's way too much to ask for. So, I was looking at some of the playoff odds. It's basically, 3-1 or so, I think, around there that we make the playoffs. And I think part of that is obviously we're a game down on the Mets, but I think part of it is the fact we have to play the Brewers. This team has had our number. This team is the best record in baseball, has looked the best out of anyone, is potentially going to lock up the number 1 seed in home field throughout the playoffs if they win one of these 3 games or get a loss from the Phillies. So this team has looked apart. And, I remember looking at this schedule and seeing them as the last series, and you always kind of felt like this was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It was always going to come down to us having to beat the Brewers, right? This team that we've lost 13 straight series to, 13 all the way back to 2022, and boy, like we were always going to need to slay this dragon. So maybe that is that's what we have to do, but it's we just got to take it one game at a time. Obviously, we'll go through this matchup. It's going to be a really tough matchup, but if we're going to make the playoffs, boy, are the Reds going to have to earn it. They're going to have to go out and beat the best team in baseball, and that would be awesome to see. I'll tell you what, I will be super excited, even if we are heading out to Los Angeles. Seeing this team in the playoffs is something that I think we're ready to do. So ready to see. This whole fan base is ready to see. So yeah, it's going to be a heck of a series. It's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching. It's going to be a lot of other things going on.
Speaking of which, scoreboard,
yeah, it
1-0
like
already.
Lindor has hit a leadoff home run for the Mets against the Marlins. So man, let's just put our head down and win tonight. That's all we can control. Let's go and win tonight. There's a game tonight. Let's talk through some of these this lineup that we have here. You want to walk us through what we're going to see and who they're up against?
Yeah, so we got TJ Friedl leading off. He's got a 740 OPS over his last 7 games at the 259 batting average. Noelvi Marte in right field, which he's, I think he's proving himself to be a very good right fielder, especially with that catch yesterday. He's 250 in his last 7 games, and with that inside the park home run on Wednesday night. Gavin Lux is batting 333 over his last 7. He's in left field today. It's his first starting left field since September 7th. Miguel Andujar, he's batting 300 with a home run in his last 7 games. And then drop a like if you thought Ellie was going to suck the rest of the year, because he's batting 304 with 2 home runs, the 1.016 OPS in his last 7 games. So he's getting hot at the right time. It just takes everybody else getting hot too. Spencer Steer, I guess you can maybe make the argument that minus the 3 home runs, he's only batting 174 in his last 7 games. Maybe you get Sal Stewart in there, maybe just tossing that out there. And then Tyler Stevenson catching. He had the 3 home runs in his last 7 games with that massive one on Wednesday night versus the Pirates. And then Ke'Bryan Hayes cooling off a little bit, 143 average, 393 OPS in his last 7. And Matt McLain just had an awful series versus the Pirates. Hopefully he can get right in this one.
Yeah, Ke'Bryan Hayes coming off a couple hits yesterday, though. I think he broke like an 0 for 26 or something like that. So, glad that he could get off the schneid there. But yeah, I mean, I think the big thing here is we got Gavin Lux in left field, right? We've seen that he's not been that great defensively, but we're clearly Austin Hayes still not available for us. I'm not sure at this point. Like, there's only a couple, like, it's too late now, I think. But it's just like if we, there were a bunch of guys down in AAA tearing the cover off the ball, Blake Dunn, Reese Hines, maybe even CES. And it's just like, at least 2 of those guys I mentioned could have played left field. So I don't know. We're not here to, I don't want to do too much second guessing, but that's just one thing to note. I'm glad Miguel Andujar is back in the lineup and he's healthy enough to be playing. He's obviously, much better against left-handed pitching, but hey, it is what it is with him, and he gives you a good at bat. So I don't mind seeing him there. When it comes to Sal Stewart, I don't know where. I think it's pretty easy to say I just put him at first base or put him in there instead of Matt McLain. And do I think that'd be an upgrade offensively, at least for McLain? Yeah, especially with how McLain is doing tonight. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like the sacrifices you get defensively for having to play him at second base. We already saw, obviously the hit that let's see, Hunter Green gave up in his one hitter. I think if Ke'Bryan Hayes is in there, he makes that play. We also saw one of the runs against the Pirates in game 1 go under his glove. Now, obviously not an easy play, but you see how, especially when an offense is struggling, defense matters. So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that Tito absolutely should be doing something. He should be doing this, and what he has in here is trash. I'm not. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, but you still would like to see the guy with probably the most power upside being willing to take one deep for you. And maybe we will still see him as a pinch hitter. Maybe somewhere in there we'll see that. So, but it's it's a this is what it is with the lineup. Do you have any numbers on how they've fared against Quinn Priester?
9 for 49. That's a 184 average. Spencer Steer is 1 for 8 with the home run. TJ Friedel's 2 for 6 with the home run. Ke'Bryan Hayes is 1 for 5 with the home run. Miguel Andujar is 2 for 3. Ellie is 0 for 4. Marte is 0 for 2. Lux is 0 for 2. McLean's 0 for 4. Stevenson 0 for 5.
Yeah. So, some
home runs though.
Yeah, with some home runs, that's good, obviously, but hopefully we'll be able to, break up this incredible season that Quinn Priester has put in. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit later as we move into it. But let's talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about our starting pitcher, Zach Littell. Tough to see when it's like, hey, you're the game season on the line and you got your number 5 hitter going against or number 5 starter going up out there, but he's coming off a pretty good start last time. Let's see, Zach Littell in his previous start went 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks against the Cubs. And so far he's been pretty up and down, but I would say that his time in his last 6 starts, he's, since we've gotten him basically from the trade deadline, 5.52 ERA, 31 innings pitched, and 9 home runs giving up. I think that's the biggest bugaboo here. It's one of those things where, there's been a lot of them that have been solo home runs, but man, if he can keep the ball in the park, we're going to need him to do that tonight. It's like, we're going to need him to pitch like he did against Chicago if he's going to even give us a chance. He's pitched against Milwaukee previously since he's been a Red, went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. So has some success against Milwaukee, but we're gonna need a big heroic effort out of Zach Littell, and was probably his last start. Frankly, probably last start as a Red, right? He's gonna be a free agent. If we make the playoffs, he's surely not going to be one of our guys starting in any of those games. So this is probably his last start as a Red. It's on the road, so not in Great American Ballpark, but it would be great to be able to see him kind of put a nice little exclamation point on what's been a real up and down time with the Reds since we've acquired him.
Yeah, he's actually had some decent numbers career-wise versus Brewers. In 21 innings, he's got a 1.17 ERA. 2 of those are starts, but it's 9 total appearances, including bullpen. So I kind of like it. I think he does better on the road than he does at home, at least for the Reds anyway. And like you said, Brewers Ballpark's a little bit more forgiving with the fly ball, so maybe that helps out too.
Yeah, and I'm still optimistic. I know we start, the more we dig into this, the more it feels like, the deck is stacked against us. But I'm still optimistic that we can, find a way to win. Find a way. It's baseball, man. I don't care. There's bounces that we can get our way. And, if we get some heroic effort out of starting pitching and maybe a few guys in that lineup, I still am very hopeful that we can still win this game. So I haven't given up. That's for sure. But let's talk a little bit about the lineup that Zach Littell will be facing. Leading off, Reds killer Christian Yelich, DHing Jackson Chourio in center, batting second. Bryce Terang, also feels like a Reds killer, batting third and playing second. William Contreras also feels like a Reds killer, batting fourth and catching. Sal Frelick, same thing, Reds killer, right fielder. I think it's just a product of the fact that they've owned us over the past 5 years, but it just feels like every single one of these guys, you're just like, oh my gosh, like Monasterio at third base. Like what huge hit is he going to get? Andrew Vaughn at first base, then Jake Bauers in left field. And Andre Monasterio, I think that's what that A is there at third base, and then Joey Ortiz at short. Like I mentioned, I think a lot of these guys have shown a lot of, feels like each one of them has a signature moment of them beating the Reds, and that hurts when a team has owned you as much as they have the past couple weeks, or years. But they can own us for now. I think what I'm seeing out of this is the Reds are due. The Reds are due. These guys have been killing us for 13 straight series. It's time to break that streak right now. Lucky number 13 is when it comes to an end.
Yeah, we broke their winning streak earlier this season. That was their largest winning streak in team history, and I think we're gonna, go out on a limb here. Maybe we sweep them, and they don't set their record for the most wins in a season. Maybe we stop 2 records this year.
That'd be great. They're tied for it, so they already technically have it. But
they didn't surpass it. So we're not.
Yeah, there you go. I like
it.
that. I like that spirit there, Ricky. I like it where we're going there. Do we have any numbers here on how these guys have been against Littell?
Yeah. Are you sure you want these? 2 for 9 for Chris and Yelich. Contreras 2 for 8. Chorios 2 for 3. Hoskins 2 for 5. Terang 1 for 5. Durbin 3 for 6, which Durbin's not in the lineup today. Chris and Yelich absolutely murdered us the last time we played. He was a triple shy of the cycle in the one game, and he just was an unreal. He's got 28 career home runs versus the Reds. It's the most versus any team. The next closest is the Pirates with 24. And it's just anytime you got to face Christian Yelich and you have Cincinnati Reds logo on your jersey, it's not going to go good for that team with the Cincinnati Reds logo on their jersey.
Well, let's change that tonight. Let's change that this weekend, because it's one of those things where they are, they're tied for their career franchise and record in wins at 96. They're also, if they win, they clinch the 1 seed. So, do they really have anything to play for? No, but I would imagine that tonight is their night, that they're going to be like, we're going and taking that. Obviously, this season has been in remembrance of Bob Uecker, their beloved broadcaster that passed away tragically. So I would imagine that they're like tonight, they're not pulling any punches tonight. I would imagine tonight is go get the win, go get that record in wins, go clinch the 1 seed, and then the rest of the 2 are we still have TBD for who they're going to pitch. Like, it's not even clear what their plan is. So to me, it feels like this is going to be our hardest game. And so we're going to have to bring it, because boy, there's been a lot of success for the Brewers against Reds pitching, and not a lot of success for Reds against Brewers pitching. But I think that brings us to Quinn Priester, their starting pitcher, 13-2 record, 13-2 record. And I had his ERA up. Hold on.
3.25.
3.25, which is really interesting. I think that's less than Andrew Abbott, right? And so obviously, wins are a flawed stat, right? But anytime you have only 2 losses, at best, what you're doing is you're putting your team in the place in a good chance to win. And that's what he's done. The Brewers have won 19 consecutive games that he has started. 19. So, those are obviously, there's some no decisions in there. Like, he's not getting the victories in all of them. But yeah, I think that stops tonight. I think that has to stop. 19, that's not sustainable. He's also hasn't recorded his first loss since May 13th. May 13th was the last time he recorded a loss. I'd say all these streaks need to die today. Quinn Priester, I know you've changed your repertoire. We'll get to that. I know you've made a lot of good steps, and you've been, saved off the junk heap by the Brewers, who keep doing this. But man, I think it needs to stop today. I think that's where it goes. And what will help them stop it today is you hitting the like button. So make sure that you do that. I'm going to keep asking them about it, because boy, the Reds need all the help they can get against Quinn Priester. His last start against the Angels, he went 5 innings, or 5 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts. So man, he's not even known as a strikeout pitcher, but boy, he's coming in pretty good form. He's known as kind of a contact, sinker baller, get a lot of ground balls behind this really good Brewers defense. But man, he's in good form, and we're gonna need to break both of those streaks tonight. Now, as we do that, we're obviously going to need to, we're going to take a look at what our pitching path to victory would be for this. Because as much as we'd love Zach Littell to pitch a complete game shutout, I don't know if that's in the cards. And I hate to break it to you, this matchup of Reds bullpen, where it is now, and Milwaukee bullpen, pretty much skews towards Milwaukee again. Santillan and Pagan has pitched in back-to-back games, our top two high leverage guys. We obviously had the extra inning game where not only, but we also had Ashcraft and Martinez and all these guys, Chase Burns, these guys that we rely on pitched as well. And Milwaukee, of course, had the day off yesterday. So their whole bullpen rested, ready to go on a game that they want to win. We know their bullpen is excellent, and we're going to really have to do it. They've been without their closer, McGill, who may even come back and pitch in one of these games, Saturday or Sunday, not as like potentially the closer, but as maybe, get one inning under your belt before going into the postseason. So I guess, what are your thoughts on the bullpen and what we might see, especially with Santillan and Pagan going back-to-back days? Are they available? If not, who is available? What are your thoughts on the bullpen there?
Yeah, so Pagan only threw 7 pitches yesterday, so that kind of helps a little bit. He still, giving up fly balls.
We didn't feel that great about those 7 pitches, though.
Yeah. I mean, he got bailed out by a Marte play. Marte made all 3 outs in the 9th. So that, I don't know what you feel about that, but I wonder how aggressive they're going to be with Chase Burns, because it feels like he pitches every 5th day as a reliever also. But he last pitched on Wednesday, and he threw 30 pitches. So I'm curious, maybe if he doesn't go tonight, maybe he goes tomorrow on kind of like quote unquote short rest. But Connor Phillips is someone that I want to see, because he last pitched on Tuesday, and in his last 7 games, he hasn't allowed a run. And that's 8 2/3 innings. That's 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. And, there's history with Connor Phillips that we bring up, especially here on Chatterbox, where, the last game of the season in 2023, like he blew it. He had a really bad outing, and the Cardinals won, and it just, put an end to our season. So I like him, his comeback, especially coming into a reliever. I think who he's been this season is kind of what we thought Graham Ashcraft would be. And I think he's been just a really solid reliever. He hasn't pitched as many innings, obviously. He's only pitched in 22 1/3. But he's got a 2.82 ERA on the season. So he's really been solid. I know Trace has talked about him, especially posting on Twitter about him. He's just been really well. Scott Barlow also last pitched on Tuesday, and Nick Martinez pitched on Wednesday, but he only threw 12 pitches. So maybe he could be available too in a pinch if we needed to.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at Chase Burns. It looks like his first outing, he went 5 games in between. Then the next one, he went 3 days in between. And then after that, he went 4 games in between, or 4 days in between, or after his previous outing. So it'd be interesting. If they say Burns goes tonight, that would be only 2 days after. That'd be probably pretty pushing it. But I wonder if maybe you're at a point now where it's like you kind of got to risk it. It's just like you pitch him tonight so that you could also have him potentially available on Sunday, right? It's like you're at an all hands on deck type thing for the bullpen. And it's like, hey, we need something. We need, if that means we can get that electric arm, maybe we don't go multiple innings like he's been doing. We just say, hey, you get 1 inning today and 1 inning on Sunday to try to help fill the gaps for this bullpen on a everybody needs to pitch in type thing. I think that maybe that's, because if he pitches on Saturday, you're maybe thinking we're only getting him 1 inning in this series, or maybe 1 outing in this 1 game in this series. So, I'd love to see him today and Sunday, maybe, not go extended amount, but see if you can rely on this guy on bouncing back on 1 day's rest, basically. I think that could be a huge boost to this bullpen, especially one that's been, with Santillan and Pagan. I guess you're right. Pagan maybe is available today, but I would bet that that Santion's not, so I mean, maybe in a worse situation, but the thing is, it's just like maybe they are available, but where we've seen these two guys struggle is when they haven't gotten their rest, right? It's like Pagan, I feel like in moments obviously has been shaky, but those moments are the ones where he's been overworked. Like when he gets the right amount of rest, I feel like he's got 30 saves, so he's been able to lock it down more than he hasn't. So, it's tough because it's like, well, do you push it with Pagan? And when you do, you basically risk him not being at his best. And maybe not at his best is still better than some of your other high leverage guys, but maybe not. Maybe Connor Phillips, this is his chance. Maybe Chase Burns, he comes in and fills some of these big. Maybe we see it out of Graham Ashcraft. Maybe he's able to do something. Maybe Nick Martinez. It's just one of those things where I don't envy having to weigh that with Tito. So if it's a close game, which if the Reds are going to win this game, I don't see how it's not a close game. I think the one thing that I don't have on the bingo card for tonight is the Reds blowing out the Brewers. And I'd love to be wrong, but my suggestion for the score is not going to have the Reds winning by 7 runs. He's going to have some tough decisions to make about who to use and when to use them. And, that's going to be really hard. That's going to be tough. And, it's one of those things where he's in a tough spot, but hopefully, we understand this is a must-win game.
Yeah, for sure. I know, speaking of runs, like they have put up runs against the Brewers. We just also given up a lot of runs. I know the Friday game, the game one of the series,
right?
Yeah, where they put up 8 and they were up 8-2, and then they ended up blowing that game. And it's just it sucks because like these games, we went through a stretch where, earlier in the season you lose 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and then we go to Milwaukee and we scored runs. I think there was a game. I have to find the exact score, but I know we scored around 11 runs in April, I believe. But we still lost the series, obviously. But we've shown that we can put up runs against this lineup. It's just we can't seem to shut them down either. And if this is the time where you want everything to go right and you can still score runs, but you shut them down, it's just you need to have that happen.
Yeah. And if it seems bleak to you, I haven't given up hope, and you shouldn't either, because if you like the stream, that's only going to do your part to help us out. I haven't given up hope. There's, I'm still going to be cheering this game on like it's a playoff game. I know the deck seems stacked against us. One of their better pitchers, one of our worst pitchers, fully rested bullpen versus our tired bullpen. A team that's completely owned us for the past 3 years. We haven't even won a single series. We're 3-7 against them this year. Like, I would imagine the betting odds are not in our favor when it comes to winning this game, but I sure haven't given up hope. I absolutely still think that they have a chance to win this game. Maybe we get a heroic effort from somebody in that lineup. Maybe Ellie goes off, maybe doing some stealing of bases like we saw in those in his famous trot around the bases where he stole second, third, and home. Let's go out and get this win. Do we want to talk a little bit about the rest of the series? I mentioned earlier it's TBD for the Brewers. Frankly, I think this is the game they're quote unquote trying in. I hate to say that because I don't think any baseball player is quote not trying when they're going up there. But it is. I think they will be a little bit more motivated to win tonight than they may be for the other 2 nights. We have Andrew Abbott going in a 7:10 start. On Saturday. That one is a Fox game, so you'll be able to find that on your local Fox studios. And then Sunday, 3:10, I think that'll be at the exact time as almost every game. We're all starting, like the Mets game and the Diamondbacks game will all be starting at the same time. That will be Brady Singer, who gave up 4 runs against the Pirates, but for the most part has been quite good for us in the second half. Any thoughts on these two as we try to round out the series with the Brewers?
Yeah, Andrew Abbott, I know he's historically had pretty rough ends to the season, but it seems like this year, knock on wood, that he's had a pretty decent end of the season. And I think that they're probably going to be aggressive with him if he shows any signs of where he, like, I think the last start he had, Tito took him out after 4 1/3, I think. And it was it was the right move. They brought in Nick Martinez, and he threw basically three perfect innings. So I look for that. And then Brady Singer, to have a pitcher who has a 3.86 ERA, and basically who was your number 5 starter for the majority of the season up until they got Zach Littell, I think that just tells you how good he's been for the majority of the season. He's 14-10. And yeah, he gave up the 4 runs versus the Pirates, but he was pretty lights out after that. He had 7 hits, but he shut him down for the most part following that, and he still played decent. So, and I look Sunday, maybe forecasting a little bit, but I know there's the talk about Hunter Green, why he didn't start, why they pushed him back a day, and they gave everybody an extra day off. Maybe that he comes out of the bullpen. I know there's been talks of that. I think the biggest question is going to be is how Lodolo is, especially if you can sneak into the playoffs. So he left the game with a potential groin injury. That kind of worries me. Could put you in a spot that if you do pitch Hunter Green out of the bullpen, you don't have Lodolo on game 1 series, so you're probably going to Abbott or Littell on game 1. And I don't like that, especially versus the Dodgers. But big series. There is a pregame show tomorrow also.
That's right.
Max and Alex is doing that one. So make sure you tune into that and like their stream and our stream also.
Yeah. Let's do that. Now as we move into the final stretch of this preview, this pregame show, let's do our look at the games that we care about. I'm looking at the Mets Marlins, and it is 2-0. Bottom of the second. There's been on first and second with Lindor up, who's already homered once, so I don't love that. But yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that all night. But all the Reds can do is go out and win. The Padres Diamondbacks will be kicking off here soon. Now it looks like Francisco Lindor lines into unassisted double play, getting out of the inning. All right, so no runs in the second inning, still 2-0 Mets. So we're still here for it. This is now where we get out our crystal balls. I've seen a lot of predictions in the chat. Please keep them coming. Let us know who you think, what the final score will be for the Reds Brewers game. Hopefully you have the Reds winning. Obviously the decks seem stacked against us today, but I think that we still have the chance. And while you do that, put those in the chat, give us a like, drop us a like. You can comment about that as well. Ricky, while we're waiting on that, do you have a what to watch for tonight?
Yeah, I have that each of the Reds' last 5 games that they were an underdog against NL Central opponents, the game has gone over the total runs line, and today's run line is 8. And just doing some quick history on the Brewers and the Reds this year, the game in April I was talking about, it was 11-7. Jose Trevino went 2 for 3 with a home run. Funny enough, we had Jacob Hurtubise and Jeimer Candelario in the lineup on that game. And yeah, that wasn't ideal. Somehow we pulled that game out. Don't know how. Somehow we scored 11 runs with Jacob Hurtubise and Jeimer Candelario in the lineup. I think they went 0 for 6 combined. And then Gavin Lux has recorded an RBI in 3 of the Reds' last 4 games that he's played.
There you go. Well, you got him batting third, so sure hope he's able to do that tonight. My what to watch for is actually about the Brewers starter, Quinn Priester. It's just like you see somebody like this that off the scrap heap has all of a sudden done well. And I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive to try to figure out, what may be causing or, why that is. I did some research, some articles have been written about it. So the biggest thing for him, he's done a couple things. They've shown he's kind of moved where he is on the mound. He's more in the middle of the mound rather than on the left side of the mound. He's changed his arm angle a little bit. It's a little bit higher, but I think his biggest thing that he's changed, and this is a change that has led to some serious success. In 2023, he had a 7.74 ERA. And at 2024, he had a 4.71 ERA. And in 2025, he has a 3.25 ERA. So I think that's a pretty drastic change. And it's like I said, he did some tinkering with it. But I think the biggest change is simply that he has scrapped his four-seam fastball and instead is throwing a cutter. So what I've got up here are a couple graphics. If you're not familiar with these are actually really cool. They're free to everyone on Baseball Savant. But what this is this is as if we're looking from that high home, as if we're the pitcher. And what it does is it shows the potential movement profile of his pitches. So the sinker, as we can see, starts at about the 2 o'clock angle and moves towards the right-handed hitter batter's box. And obviously the slider over here on the left, that's the yellow, it moves the opposite direction, right? Because he's a right-handed pitcher. Now, as you can see here, the red in 2024 was his four-seam fastball, and the brown in 2025 is his cutter. And you might be saying, well, that's not that much different. But what it has done is it has added separation to his pitches. So when your four-seam fastball and your two-seam or your sinker, which is the yellow or the orange that he is doing, when those have a similar profile, you can be looking one and still not be, you could still get a piece of or maybe even drive a four-seam fastball, even if you're looking sinker, because they kind of come out in a very similar spot, right? They're coming out in the 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock range. Now, by adding this cutter, what he's done is he's added this separation. Look at how different that slider goes, the exact opposite way as his sinker does, right? So out of the same arm slot, you have something going directly different in a different direction. And that, that's the tunneling that people talk about. And then that cutter, while it's not great, like it doesn't grade out as an awesome pitch, but what it does is it just like helps his sinker play up. And so why I bring this up is because it's just like a great example of how teams can, do a little bit of tinkering that can show can show big differences in how a pitcher is able to get outs. We saw this with Connor Phillips, right? He's basically scrapped his changeup and he just throws this sweeper and his fastball. And we've seen him flourish as a bullpen arm. I even saw Chase Burns in his last outing busted out a two-seam fastball. And the idea is you don't need this fastball to be amazing. You just need it to be enough to get him off of your awesome pitches, your four-seam and your slider. So I wanted to point this out because I think this is a great image of how the Brewers have taken somebody who was basically a former first-round pick that was given up, traded twice, and have made him, a guy who maybe starts game 2 of their playoff series, maybe game 3 of their playoff series. So, we've seen this with other players, but I just thought it was really interesting. I now that I've bored you with my pitching TED Talk, I just this is how he relies on that sinker that plays up with the cutter that he now throws. And, the Reds are going to be in for a tough haul if they're going to score a bunch of runs against him. All right. I have definitely filibustered for long enough. Let's look at some of these predictions that people have today. We got Daniel Myers, Reds 6-2. Would love that. 6-2, but nice, maybe not nice and comfortable anytime you're playing the Brewers that came back from the 8-0 lead. But yeah, I love that. We got 4-2 Reds from Chris Pope. We already did Daniel Myers. Christopher Leclerc, 6-2 Reds. You're going to have to share the glory if that's what happens with Daniel Myers, because that's what you got. Michael Jackson, 9-5 Reds. I love that. If there are any other predictions that you all have, please put them in the chat. We will highlight them. Optimistic John, just win 1-0, baby. Woo! Boy, I'll tell you, that would not be a comfortable game for me to sit through. Or for Nick and Trace to react to in the post-game show that they got going on tonight. But a win's a win. So you're right. If that's the case, whatever we need to, just survive in advance and keep going. Ricky, what's your prediction? How do you think the Reds come out today?
I think I'm going to go with that trend about the games being on the over on the run line. The run line is 8. I think I'm going to go with 5-4 Reds.
5-4 Reds. Boy, that's also not a comfortable one. I agree with you. Because I think Littell is probably going to give up maybe a solo home run or two. If he can limit the walks and give us 1 or 2 runs, I think that would be great. And I read off all those stats about Quinn Priester. I think that he's pitched really well this year. but I think his 19 consecutive game started streak and his hasn't lost since May 13th. That comes to an end tonight. I think we do get to him. We get a couple runs and then maybe, a home run from Spencer Steer and Key Brian Hayes gets on, and Matt McClain gets us off the schneid with a nice little home run as well to make up from the disastrous Pittsburgh series that he has. So I'm going to go with 7-3 is my guess. I think that it's still close-ish. I know I said we wouldn't blow them out. I don't know if that's the case, but it's I still think the Reds have a chance to win. It is going to be a tight one, and we are going to need to do everything we can to play as good baseball as we can, because that it doesn't seem to be in our advantage right now, but it's baseball. We'll go out and win. And I haven't given up, Ricky. You haven't given up. I was at the game yesterday when Noelvi Marte robbed that ball. Let's just say the whole crowd didn't know what to do, so much so that we missed him getting the next out. We were just so crazy about how amazing that was that we were like, oh, the game's over. I didn't want to go down there. I had reservations to go down there. I went there with my boys and got to meet Ned Flanders, got to meet a few people down there as well. That was really cool. Thanks for coming up and talking to me. But I was reserved in doing that because I was afraid that, we'd walk away with disappointment. But I decided, hey, I'm doing this anyway. This is a great chance for my boys to be able to experience something awesome. And I was rewarded with an incredible game. Don't give up on this season. I know it feels bleak. I know this Reds team has disappointed us multiple times this season, but they are those cockroaches that can't go away. So, I'm opening myself up, ready to get hurt one more time for these Reds to go into Milwaukee and do something special. Go out and do what they couldn't do in 1999, come back with a series win. And even if we're tied with the Mets, we don't have to play a stupid 162 or 163 game. We got the tiebreaker and we go to the playoffs. So I'm ready for it. Ricky, I hope you are too. Chat, you've been awesome this season. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Please like the stream one more time on the way out. I've got nothing but great things to say about all the way that everyone in this chat has contributed. Thank you very much for Chatterbox for letting Ricky and I get on here every Friday and sometimes Monday and chat about the Reds baseball leading up to the game. So, boy, thanks again, everyone, for a great season. No matter what happens, man, I will look back fondly on this 2025 season. Ricky, what about you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Shout out Nick and Trace for this platform and opportunity. It's been a lot of fun talking about our favorite baseball team, and we had some highlights and some lowlights. We had the Friday night candy to start the season, and we were the show that broke him getting DFA'd, and it's been a fun ride, and it's been a pleasure working with you and everybody else that I've had a chance to do a show with. And I guess one last time, go Reds.
Go Reds.